Hello everyone, this is the short talk for July. Now, this is the first of a new series of talks which we're going to cover the design concepts and technologies that form part of the new Project Toronto. So my name's Simon Birchall, I'm the Managing Director. I've just introduced people around the table. We've got Nathan.
Nathan Price, I'm Technical Director.
Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Coop, I'm Project Manager.
I'm David Webb, and I'm the Implementation Specialist for Tonga.
I'm Matt Wilkinson, I'm the Head of the Support Team. And I'm Nathan Beveridge, Head of Support Team 1.
Great, okay, so just a bit of background information first. The current version of Timeware, which is Timeware 2020, is based, if you trace its origins back to a product called Timeware 6, which was released about 2002, something like that. And we decided a couple of years ago that we were going to redevelop the product. And what was the reason for that, Neth? What was the reason for the big redesign, the big idea?
From Timeware 6 to Toronto.
Yeah, there was concerns, wasn't there? Microsoft were going to pull the plug.
I mean the code now is probably 18 years old, isn't it?
Yes.
18 years old, and it uses COM objects, so it uses old DLLs, and ever worrying that, or a concern that if Microsoft was to stop supporting that technology,
we'd be screwed. We'd be screwed.
We'd be in big trouble.
Okay, so for a couple of years, maybe 3-4 years, we've been planning this. We started a couple of years ago, and so the idea now is once a month we're just going to do this maybe 5-10 minute overview on the new technologies that have been introduced. So the project, we call it Project Toronto. It's Timeware 7. We're not sure when this is going to be released properly. It's going to be, if you look at the notes, this is going to be phased in gradually. So 2021, you're going to see some new Toronto standards within the application, and I think within 3 or 4 years, everything will be converted to this new technology. So we've got a number of points we want to cover, and the first one we've got is an enterprise class solution, and we could pick up on that. What's
I mean, that's what we're aiming for, to have a product that will be scalable.
So I think one of the notes we said earlier is that this new coding pattern is designed to enable many programmers to work on the application simultaneously, isn't it?
Yeah. So the coding pattern that we're using is a model view model, MVVM, and the concepts behind that is that the user interface is separated from the logic behind. Okay, and what that would allow us to do in the future is change the user interface. So
what would that be?
Let's say Microsoft brings out a new user interface. At the moment, the latest and greatest user interface is WPF, which is Windows Presentation Foundation, and that's what everybody's going to at the moment. That gives you a super slick look and all the bells and whistles that you see on Microsoft Office and products like that. But in the future, if Microsoft brought out a new user interface, it would be relatively easy change because the code is separate from the user interface using this design approach, this programming approach. Maybe it'll take a year to change the front end.
If we're going to do a browser based version,
that's another reason for it. So we could do a web front end, okay. But we may keep the desktop front end as well.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, it's using all the same view models, all the same code that the desktop application would use.
Okay. Good.
Very future-proof.
Okay. All right. The next point then. I've got .NET Core 3 and .NET 5.
Okay. So we're on the cutting edge of the .NET framework at the moment, and the .NET framework is a bunch of calls and what would you call it?
A bunch of calls sounds good enough.
Yeah. Rather, let's say we wanted to save to a file or read from a file or implement some security. Microsoft have already got a collection of calls that they come under the .NET Framework umbrella. So they've already done that. You've got the best people in the world working out how to do these things that we might need to use. So rather than us reinventing the wheel, what we do is we tap into this framework. And at the moment, the cutting edge framework is .NET Core 3.
.NET Core 3.
Okay. And I think in November it's going to get moved over to .NET 5. So they've dropped the core bit of the name and they've called it .NET 5.
So
that's not to get confused with the .NET Framework 4 that they're on at the moment.
So we're, the .NET 5 framework, that's what we're going to be using towards the end of the year.
Yeah, probably in our release in November.
That'll be .NET 5.
That'll be .NET 5, and then they're releasing a .NET 6, 7.
What would that mean? What does that mean for upgrades? Do we have to?
The .NET Core framework is very lightweight. It's a small install, but by default it should be on most operating systems. Windows are pushing it out as part of when you do an upgrade on your computer. It should have.
So we won't have to do a special. Because did we have to do that a few years ago?
We had to do it with some components.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Entity Framework Core.
Okay, so this is an offshoot of .NET Core, and it's to deal with the database side of the framework.
Yes.
Okay. And what that allows you to do is we could talk to SQL database, and it would be very easy using this framework to switch it over to MySQL or any other database technologies that come out in the future. So we use this .NET Core, and again, it lets us be flexible in the future.
It's for flexibility. It's for
Flexibility.
Future proof. Yeah. Okay. Themes and palettes. This is an interesting one. Okay.
Yeah. What we're trying to do here is give the user more customization options.
Yes.
So nowadays it seems to be the latest and greatest thing to.
They all have the screen set in blue. Is it
dark
mode?
Yeah. Increased productivity.
Increased productivity. When? So this is standard, isn't it, on things like Word, Office.
Yeah, lots of applications now.
Yeah.
Even your Android phone or iOS, I think, have dark modes now.
So it's not just dark mode we're talking about, there's a
whole
vast array of themes and palettes and
I think when you mentioned it to me that you, for example, if you've got someone that struggles with like their eyesight, you can make the image more clear and scale it a little bit better.
That's it. They have high contrast modes.
Cal mode.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And you can get the application to look and feel the way you want. Because I use Visual Studio a lot, there's a Visual Studio thing, so it just feels nicer to me. I guess if somebody else is using Office all the time, Office 19 or Office 17, they can select the.
You've got a 1992 mode for me. Great. Okay. So leading on from that, then we've got ribbon menus and removal of the right click. So I'm guessing ribbon menus. Like you just talked about Word and Office and whatever. So we're introducing a technology, aren't we, that people are used to
on a daily basis. Yeah. Anybody who uses Word or Excel or Outlook will be used to this ribbon menu across the top.
And this idea of removal of the right click, how many times do you get support calls from new users where they're not aware?
Yeah, there's tons where they don't actually know that menu's there.
Yeah.
So obviously with this new style you can see it at the top of the screen.
So we're not going to support the right click.
No, we won't support the right click. And the concept with the ribbon menu, you probably don't notice when you use it on a daily basis, but what happens is, depending on where you clicked on the screen, it may add something extra into the ribbon menu. So for instance, if you're clicked onto a grid of information, you may get some grid options appear in the ribbon menu at the top. So you might be able to collapse some groupings on the grid, or a whole host of.
What this means, though, that we've sort of agreed that when we started this development, that we wouldn't add in any new features, but because of the very nature of what we're doing, there are going to be new things introduced now. That not new features within the application, but the way you use the app.
Features for the users.
Yes, should make things easier for them. Yeah. Okay.
Another important point with that right click, obviously, if we decide to do a web-based front end for Timeware 7, you don't really do right clicks on web pages.
No.
So that's another reason for getting away from this right click hidden items.
Good.
Do the touch screen as well, maybe? Some sort of touch screen.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, in the future, if you're using a touchscreen device, obviously there isn't a right click on a touchscreen, it's a device using your finger. Yeah.
Okay, next item, slider menu for Timeware modules removed.
Yeah, what's on Timeware 2020 and below, we have what's called the slider menu in the client on the left hand side. That takes up quite a bit of your screen, and it can only show so much, and they sort of fall off the bottom of the page. So that slider menu is moving up into the ribbon at the top, and it'll be under a home option. So your go-to items that are usually in the slider would have moved up to the ribbon at the top. It gives you more area and space to use underneath.
Just on that point, the size of at the moment the application is set. It's a certain size, is it, on 2020?
No, you can adjust it, but the forms that are loaded.
Yes.
For instance, if you click personnel, that personnel form is a set size.
And what are we proposing on Toronto? Will it?
Yeah, so what happens on Toronto, for instance, if you click that personnel form, it's adaptive. So what that means is it will stretch out into the client area underneath the ribbon option. Yeah. And then we use something called flow control. Yeah. And if you have your screen in portrait, it will snake down the screen in panels. If you have it in a big landscape mode or ultra landscape, it will just be one snake all the way.
Something like the to-do list. Yeah. The to-do list. It could be that it doesn't disappear off the bottom.
No, it would snake. And really what we're trying to do here is make the best use of your screen real estate that you've got.
Right, okay, good.
That's the idea behind it.
Okay, the next point, inline error handling.
Yeah, what's not too good, I don't want to say negatives, but what's not too good with Timeware at the moment is you usually get told what the problem is at the point of saving.
Yes. What's an example? Sort of, let's say you're saving a personnel record.
Yeah.
And you've not selected groups.
Yeah.
Is that a good example?
That's it. And what's even worse in personnel is you can move around them different tabs. And the problem could actually be on a tab that you've
gone past groupings, you're in help, try and save, it says.
There's a problem with grouping, and you're like, where's grouping gone?
Okay. This is another intuitive thing. So this is.
You're getting told the problem at the point that you're trying to save.
Yeah.
So what this inline error handling is it will just highlight on the screen.
Yeah.
So imagine next if the badge field needed filling out, there'd be a little red circle within the badge field. If you hover over it, it will tell you what the issue is with that. So it's missing, or it's incorrect number or something like that. And then also tied into that, the buttons below your save button wouldn't be enabled anywhere. So you wouldn't even be able to click that save button while there was validation issues on the screen.
That's good. So, null text prompt. Do you know what that is like?
at the point of writing the notes of this, on
That's
the spot, I don't.
He was starting to doze off. I was trying to keep him awake there. Yeah, go on. Yeah, can you explain what the
It's just a pointer. So, for instance, if you had a payroll field,
yes,
okay, and if that payroll field is empty, you'll have some very light grey text just pointing you in the right direction of what should be in that field.
yes, yeah.
So, for instance,
Like an example payroll.
yeah, it could be an example payroll number with a
Yeah.
slash in a particular place. Rather than you having to put another label next to it explaining what should be in this box, the label's actually within the box, and it just looks nicer, and it saves space on the form.
Okay, next, Microsoft Application Insight.
Okay, well, Application Insights is a technology. It's for recording telemetrics with your application.
This is at your level, isn't it? It's not for support purposes.
For support as
Is
well.
it? Right.
Okay, but it's for support as well. So, when you install this Timeware 7, it'll ask you if you'd like to help us basically solve issues in the future. And if you say yes to that, what can happen then is if you get any errors within the software or any issues, they'll get sent to our cloud server. Programmers will be able to look at that.
What is our cloud server?
Azure.
Azure.
Our support guys will see any issues that are happening with the software that people are using, and then we'll be able to fix it
I
quickly.
want to try and clarify something. Let's say
It's
somebody.
anonymous as well. It's anonymous.
Let's say there is. What's it? I want to. It's not for fault logging, is it?
Not for
That's
fault
It's
like
like a crash rather than
yeah.
user
So yeah, let's say someone rings up and they say Ethel's records have been deleted. Can you tell me who's done that? It's not for that level.
Not
It's
an
for
audit.
we release some software.
Yeah.
We've tested it here. We
It's
release it.
diagnostic
It helps you,
information.
doesn't it? Your
Yeah.
level, developer level, and it would help at a support level.
Diagnose
Diagnostic,
these
right.
issues. We know exactly where it happened. We know the frequency, so it might not just be
And this is by client, is it? Is it?
by
By
clients
client, okay.
and by company. So we'll know if it's specific to a site, or if we're getting lots of this same issue coming, we'll know it's a bigger problem.
Did you
that
say
needs
this
to
is
be
anonymised?
It is anonymised.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we won't be able to go back to that customer and say, yeah,
But we could see that
but we
there was
could
a
see there was
a
an
problem.
issue.
Yeah, that we needed to. And
Yeah.
that would give you a clue as to what.
Programmers will be able to look at that issue, hopefully resolve it, and then when you get your next update, that problem will go away.
Okay. So leading on from that, then we've got detailed local logs. I guess is that fault logs.
Yeah, these are local fault logs. What we have at the moment, we're on Timeware 2020 and below, we have the audit trail, and really that audit trail has been used incorrectly. Really, we put errors that happen on clients in there.
We don't audit half of it.
But so the new idea is we have local audits.
And that would be local on the customer server.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if a customer has a problem, our technicians, with their permission, will be able to look at this log, and it's super in depth.
And this is nothing to do with the applications inside that. This is
No,
this
this
is
is
now your
this is
level.
another
This is something-
technology.
Yeah, right.
that we use to resolve issues on a client PC.
Okay. Excuse me. Audit trail redesign. I guess that you just mentioned that, haven't you?
Yeah, again, we want the audit trail to have less errors in it and more audited information.
Yeah.
And like I said, just keep them two things separate.
Sure. Okay, just two more. Then we got the Toronto licensing engine.
Yeah. That's
I guess that's the you did the redesign.
yeah,
of
we've
the
done a
licensing.
redesign of the licensing, and the problem with the old licensing is it would only let us put so much information into that license.
This is keys. But we've got, let's say for example, we want to specify the number of Suprema devices, the number of users, the number of clients, the number of
As we introduce more things, we started running out of space because of the way we're encrypted. All it is we've done a new form of license. That isn't an issue with it at all.
All right, the final point is license packs.
It's the same thing, really.
It's
the same thing.
Okay, so this, go on, sorry.
Something with the licensing now as well. We do have some rebrands that we do, and the licensing controls the rebrands. So what's good from our point of view, company point of view, is we've got one lot of software that we test, and everything's working fine. And then the only difference between ours and the rebrands is what license is inserted. It's the exact same.
I've seen this at startup, because what you get to see at startup now is NMD3, which is the default, and it then flicks to acting time or timeware or Themis or whatever.
That's right.
Okay, good. Okay, that's everything for the July, maybe not so short talk, really, but short talk. So we'll be posting another one towards the end of August with the work that's been the work that's been completed during this month. Does anybody got anything else to add?
No.
Some people have been really quiet. Dave, anything?
No, not really.
You've seen the application, didn't you? They showed you was it the what was it, the
dashboard?
Dashboard, yeah. So what's your initial thought on that?
Yeah, it's very good. It's going to be.
Looks interesting.
Looks interesting.
And
very modern and user friendly.
What is really important? We mentioned this in a meeting earlier, that we when we bring this, when we finally get to rewrite the client side, we can't make any major changes to the general way it works, because there are hundreds of people, thousands of people that use the application, and they've got to be able to use this new application. So although it will look modern and it will look nice with the latest technologies, it is still going to operate in pretty much the same way, isn't it? In the future, we'll be able to change things, but you know, certainly over the next few years, this will get rolled out gradually, maybe over a 3, 4 year period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It needs to be that way.
Okay. All right, that's it. Thanks very much, everybody.